understand that part of my system involves igniting parts of a woman's mind that are deeper than her normal fact-driven conscious mind. Her fact-driven conscious mind is, where do I go grocery shopping today? Where can I go to get gas for my car? I don't want fact-based answers to the questions I ask. And I also want to stand out. So one way I'll use Speed Seduction NLP, however you want to label it. My cat is here with me right now. I got some hot pussy in my bed. I love my cats. I'm a cat swan. If you ever want to be my buddy, send me cat toys and cat treats. They're very particular, though. They don't like a lot of stuff. So typically, what kind of chump questions does a guy ask women? Well, questions like, what do you do for fun? Now, what's the problem with that question? That problem with that question is twofold. Number one, every guy asks it. So you're just another chump when you ask that question, right? But the second problem is it just calls for a factual answer. She can just say, I like to go skydiving. It doesn't require her to answer from her imagination or her passions. But if I ask this question, I have to fuck with the light here. I'm not in my office because the cleaning lady is in my office cleaning it up, my home office. So I'm just here in a side room. So listen to this question. When you want to do something that makes you feel totally alive, get your heart beating hard, so hard inside you, and time just flies by, what do you love to do? Or what's something you've always craved doing, but you've never let yourself dare? Now, can you hear the difference in those two questions?
Yeah.
One question, and by the way, did you hear me slip in the sexual innuendo that makes your heart beat hard, so hard inside you? So I'm already throwing in the sexual metaphor. Now I'm going to get an answer that I can play with. She can't just say, well, I like to skydive. She's got to give me a more sensory-rich answer. I'll say, really? If she says, well, I love skydiving. I had a woman say, 22-year-old waitress that I pulled, and I'm 63, dudes. I could never pull her online. She said, oh my God, I went swimming with the sharks accidentally. I said, tell me more about that. She said, my heart started pounding with fear, but I felt this rush of excitement through my whole body. I said, really? So when you stop and you remember those feelings of excitement, I ran my finger, I did a point like this, starting from her head. I didn't touch her, pointing all the way to her back. When you feel those feelings of excitement flowing through you, I bet it doesn't matter whether you focus in on where you feel them flowing first, or whether you focus in on where you feel them flowing next, or whether you focus in on where you feel them flowing, it feels so good, you can't even put your finger on the source of your excitement. But it's like you hear this voice that says, damn it, you got to go for this. And she just gave me that doggy dinner bowl look. And that was that. Now, she was what I call a catch and release, because she was just not really up to snuff. But I always play with them. If I don't really like them, I'll get their number and then I lose the number and never call them. They do that to us. So I figured, what the fuck? Does that make sense? Is that a good example for you of how this stuff works?
Yeah, that makes sense. Quickly, how do you like balance? Because it could come off as like try hard. I don't know. Like,
no, that doesn't come off as try hard, because it's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
Try hard would be, oh, wow, I'm such an exciting guy. You know what I like to do? I like to do this. Try hard is talking about yourself.
Okay.
I wasn't talking about herself. I asked her about herself, and I just fed back her words to her and made it more intense. So I asked a question that evoked a response from her. Then I took her words and I ran them through a pattern that's designed to get her those feelings flowing to her body down into her vagina. I didn't say, in a minute, I'm going to give you a series of suggestions that will cause those exciting and fearful, and yet a little fearful feelings to flow all the way through your body till they climax in your vagina and you think about fingering yourself and fucking me. Ready? 1, 2, 3, Debbie. But effectively, that's what I did through those series of descriptions that I gave her. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Amazing. I just thought about reading David Dider. Do you have something about like for girls loosening up in bed or something, like a pattern for that? You got a pattern for everything?
Here's the thing. Once you get them having these flow of feelings, I'm now conditioning them that their feelings are going to flow throughout their body. So the very early interactions, see, feelings that just stay static, that don't move through the body. My discovery is, my observation through 30 years of experience is, if a woman just feels a feeling here, that's nice, but the feeling has to intensify to a point and it has to flow through the body. It's the feelings that flow through the body that move us into action, as opposed to just thinking about it. So I am conditioning her early on to allow herself to feel a flow of feelings that build. So later when we're in bed, that conditioning is going to fire. And it's going to make the sex seem much better than an old man can really give her. Although.
Oh my God.
Really amazing. So you say you guide the lines at the beginning so it does not happen that she's stuck up in bed.
It still could be a trauma arises. And then I believe in stretching boundaries and testing them. I don't believe in invading them or violating them. There's a difference between violating boundaries and invading boundaries and just pushing on them or expanding them. See, I believe seduction is about two things that seem to be a contradiction. It seems to be a contradiction, but actually they work hand in hand. Yes, seduction is about penetrating the woman's mind with our ideas and suggestions. That's true. But it's also about expanding her mind to include our suggestions. Yes, it's about penetrating her mind to get our suggestions in, but it's also about expanding her mind to include our suggestion. The master, the chump, doesn't know how to do suggestions. The good student can make his suggestions penetrate her mind, but the master knows how to expand her mind to include his suggestion.
Ross, if I may ask a question. So how you were saying earlier that you used words to create feelings in the person you were interacting with. So in theory, for example, a person who has never gotten laid, who has a lot of mental blockages, success barriers, all those stuff, how would you be able to use NLP? Let's say someone who has never gotten laid, how would you create that feeling or run NLP on them to encourage them to get rid of those blocks so they can progress in whatever goal they might be trying to achieve?
Are you talking about me doing this with a woman I'm sarging, or with my students?
With your students or a friend, a wing?
Many of my students come to me with either no or very little sexual experience. A lot of you, well, I don't know why you're laughing, Jan, but it's a good question, a serious question. A lot of what I do is hypnosis. I'm a really good hypnotist.
Mm-hmm.
I do what I call permissive hypnosis and indirect hypnosis. I don't say you're going to go to sleep now and imagine a lake and an icy lake or a cool, calm lake, and you're going to grow more and more confident with each and every passing. I don't do that. Some hypnotists do, and bless their hearts, it works for them. That's never been my style. So I would do some hypnosis. I would also teach some meditative techniques. So when painful emotions come up, you have a third choice. See, for most people, when painful emotions exist, I need to sit so I support my own back. Excuse me. For most people, when painful emotions come up, they either suppress them, they stuff them down. Turn this off. They either suppress them, they push them down, or they flood with those painful emotions. So they either freeze or they flood. Many guys will freeze their painful emotions, and many guys will flood. And a lot of guys do both. 1 minute they're freezing and locked up, and the next minute they're flooding. And they don't have a good relationship with painful emotions. I can't teach them to do that with hypnosis. I can do a lot of healing work, but to teach them a practice where they can relate, have a good, skillful relationship to difficult emotions and difficult thought patterns, that I do as well. So if they need it, I'll teach them a meditative practice, a simple one. Does that answer you?
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you.
I got
By
a
the
question.
Sorry.
If you're a high net worth individual and you want to apply to work with me, go to seduction.com and you'll see a little button that says apply to work with me. It's you're paying for the best. It's not cheap. My fees run to like $1,500 US dollars an hour and more, depending if you want to come see me personally or just want to do it online. But I am the best, and I guarantee my work. That's why I interview people first, because a lot of people I won't work with.
Can I ask a question, Ross?
Of course.
Thanks. I just heard you saying that when you're talking to women, you're talking about something that is floating. You're aiming for floating to like emotions to her vagina and the body, whole body. I just noticed that when I do that, when I talk to women and I'm thinking about exciting her in the, like, I focus on that part of her body, like the sexual part, then I get much more relaxed and I get better, like better interaction, sexual interaction, and I'm not being needy. I'm not being, too much to her heart. But then I noticed I was doubting myself that maybe I don't know, it's like not cool to do that because why am I focusing only on the sexual part of a woman instead of, yeah.
Hold on. No one had to say you only have to focus on the sexual part. By the way, kol hakavod, ma nishma?
הכל בסדר, תודה רבה.
Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael chai. Zion ba'ayin. Ani ramakal kusiot ha'olam. Did you understand me?
I do, yeah.
What
I don't
city
know.
are you in, my friend?
Sorry?
What city are you in?
I'm actually in France, in Lyon. So I moved away from Israel.
What city were you from in Israel?
Jerusalem.
Yerushalayim, Shel Shabbat, I'm Jewish as Yaakov. So good for you.
Yeah, okay. That's
My father's Hebrew name is Yitzhak. So you don't have to
Right.
only concentrate on sexual feelings, but I'm trying to tell you, my message to you would be that if a woman doesn't feel those feelings for you, you probably won't get to the connection or anything else. But I certainly have patterns that include feeling connected from the heart and what it's like when you feel those feelings of amazing connection. Those groin feelings of connection. Did you catch it? Did I say groin? Like Groin, which is, or groin, Growing. Those groin feelings of connection. In NLP, we call this a phonetic ambiguity. Nude erection or new direction. What am I saying? Well, it's vague, so the mind interprets it both ways.
That is genius. Oh my God.